Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of voice of radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at Vaporeon VMAX. Now, we did look at Vaporeon V the other day, but we didn't get to have a look at Vaporeon VMAX, and that makes me a little bit sad. But we have translations from the lovely Antoine Boulet here, so let's go and take a look. Now, if we remind ourselves about Vaporeon V, the first attack for one colourless energy lets you draw 3 cards, which is fine. I described it as a good bonus. You wouldn't play Vaporeon V to draw 3 cards. Funnily enough, it is exactly what Eevee V does for a single colourless energy. But if you're playing Vaporeon V or Vaporeon VMAX for other reasons, and now you get to chuck this in, that's actually really kind of cool, and at that point I'm kind of into it, but it is only there as a bonus. The second attack, 2 water, 1 colourless, 90 damage, switch to the bench. It's a hit and run deck. And we're not going to have Lily's Pokédoll for very long, and that's kind of sad. Now, one Pokemon I should have mentioned the other day, so let me mention it now, is Altaria. And Altaria is immune to Vs and GXs, so you can essentially attack, switch into Altaria, your opponent can't do anything, switch into Altaria, etc. But if your opponent plays Boss's Orders, that kind of ruins it. And I'm not thinking it's quite good enough. I don't really dislike Vaporeon V. Vaporeon V is fine, but I don't particularly like it. It's alright, but I think we're really hanging on for the VMAX here. Now, I do need to mention that we do have that new, I think it's called Elemental Badge card. The one that reduces the attack cost by 1 colourless energy of Vaporeon V, Flareon V, and Jolteon V. And that's kind of lovely. But here, I'm still not loving it. Like, you can draw 3 cards for 0 energy, which is actually quite nice, especially if you have to use your energy attachment for the turn to get something out of the active and move Vaporeon in. So I do like it in that regard, but you've still got to have the item card or the tool super early. Essentially, you attach for turn, you pop this on Vaporeon, draw 3 cards, it can get you out of a bind, but you've got to have the tool card to do that, and that's kind of awkward. It does mean you can use your hit and run attack for 2 water energy, which is a little bit easier, but it's still not amazing. Although, and this is the one where I really do think this tool card comes in handy, you're a Rapid Strike Pokemon. So now, and Rapid Strike Energy will pay water. So now I can essentially pop Elemental Badge, Rapid Strike Energy, and use this hit and run attack for a single energy. My opinion on Vaporeon V skyrockets because of this. Now I've got essentially a single energy hit and run attack, and I'm still not high on hit and run Pokemon as it goes. I still think the problems I've outlined are big problems. But I do think that there is absolutely a lot to be gained here. And I do think this is a much more viable hit and run Pokemon than it was before. Now, moving over to the VMAX, we got up to 320 HP, which is entirely standard. Same retreat cost, same weakness, same typing, same everything along those lines. And the first attack here I really want to love, and I don't know whether I can love it. 1 colourless energy, Water Pod. Put 1 Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench, then attach up to 3 water energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. Now, the translation we have from Antoine here, and Antoine is very, very good at these kind of things, says that this lets you cheat. It doesn't say put 1 basic Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. It says 1 Pokemon. And that is huge, ladies and gentlemen, because it means you can grab yourself a VMAX. It means you can grab yourself a Stage 2. It means that you can cheat. You can grab a Pokemon which shouldn't be able to appear by itself and put it down there straight by itself and attach free energy so it's ready to go next turn. Now, this is fraught with danger. First of all, you're not doing any damage and it's a VMAX, so absolute best case scenario. No, that's not true. You can get this going turn 1. Okay, let's follow this through with me. This cheats in the way that Mustard cheats, so you can basically cheat this out with Mustard and then use this to cheat other Pokemon out. Mustard can only be played if it's the last card in your hand, but it lets you draw 5 cards and put a Pokemon from your discard pile, a Rapid Strike Pokemon, straight onto your bench from your discard. Like Vaporeon, that is, of course, a Rapid Strike Pokemon. So essentially, if you get this working, and it is a huge if, but if you can go second, get Vaporeon in the discard, the Single Strike Mustard goes from the deck to put the Pokemon on the bench. It's way better. But if you can get the Vaporeon in the discard and play Mustard, you can actually get this going turn 1, going second, and then I love it. Otherwise, I've had a turn, my opponent's had a turn, and then for my turn, I'm going to put a Pokemon on the bench with energy. Which means I've got a free prize Pokemon sitting in the active waiting to take a hit. And I've also got a Pokemon sitting on the bench with free energy that my opponent could potentially hunt down the boss's orders instead, and this is where I end up getting a little bit sad. Because setup attacks like this, I really want them, well, like Vaporeon V, I want them to be single energy basic Pokemon. I want to be able to go second and immediately start just getting rolling here. And I can't do that. Unless I get Mustard. Like I say, if you get a turn 1 Mustard going second, my opinion on this card goes absolutely through the roof, and I instantly just spy it as a significantly better card than I do at the moment. But as it stands, I'm not particularly liking this. I'm sorry. It's great, don't get me wrong, but it's not amazing. Because by the time you actually get this rolling, you're at the point in the game where you want to be attacking and doing a bunch of damage and really starting to get stuff going. And all you're really doing is starting your setup, and I'm not loving it. I think with Mustard it makes a huge difference, but then again, getting a Stage 2 Pokemon out with free energy on, or getting a VMAX out with free energy on, getting an Inteleon VMAX already powered up and ready to go, it could be good. It's just, you've already evolved up into a VMAX, and then you're essentially letting your opponent have a hit. Now, maybe you're playing Cheryl, and maybe you can use Cheryl to start doing some healing at the same time as you're starting to get rolling, and maybe you can cover for the fact you're giving your opponent a hit, but this really does need to be borne in mind. The big attack here, Water Double Colorless, 100 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, this attack does 100 more damage. So 200 damage if there are any damage counters on the active Pokemon. And I'm not sure I like this enough. I'm not sure this is quite good enough. Because you see, 200 damage is fine. But if we look at other VMAXs, I mean, look at Eternatus. Eternatus, if you've got a full bench, and bearing in mind, if you're playing Eternatus, you are going to build it to fill up your bench. That's how Eternatus rolls. Then for 2 energy, you're hitting 270. Not free energy hitting 200. And honestly, you've got to go ahead and drop some damage in the meantime as well. And it's worth pointing out that double draw, or triple draw I should say, doesn't do damage. A Water Pod doesn't do damage. So you've got some really nice setup attacks, and if they did a bit of damage, this second attack on Vaporeon VMAX would be so much better, but they don't. So it's not. Now, obviously, you've got options here. I mean, chief among them, Galarian Zigzagoon. That will obviously be a really nice option because you drop it, you drop a damage counter, and off you go. But even then, you're only hitting 210. And 210 will get some, but it won't get all Pokemon Vs. If you look at something like a Zacian, well, they're sitting there with 220. So sure, you can use Scoop Up Net to reuse your Galarian Zigzagoon, but now I'm asking for a VMAX with free energy on, and a Galarian Zigzagoon and a Scoop Up Net to get a KO, and that's only on a Pokemon V, that's to do 220. Well, Victini VMAX for 2 energy does 220 to a Pokemon V. Now, admittedly, that's only to a V or V Max. Vaporeon will do it to anyone, but no is basically where I'm going with this. I don't think this is an efficient use of resources. And yes, Frostmoth is a thing, and yes, triple acceleration energy will work. Remember, that is water and fighting, so it will pay Vaporeon's attacks very nicely. And that elemental badge we mentioned earlier will actually work on Vaporeon VMAX as well. I've checked with the lovely Antoine Boulet. Which means that Water Pod can be used for a single Tool card. Don't even need any energy. And Max Rapids turns into a 2 energy attack. And bearing in mind you're a Rapid Strike Pokemon, which means you've got Rapid Strike energy. So now you can essentially do 200 damage for a Rapid Strike energy, and you've got to have the tool and you've got to find it at the right time, etc. But that really changes my opinion and makes Vaporeon VMAX a much, much better attacker. I think if you're playing Vaporeon, you're essentially using it to cheat some other Pokemon out. Essentially what you're trying to do is have this start getting set up and using this to get something like Inteleon out. And for the first time in what feels like a long time, I am actually going to have to give a shout out to Heroes Medal. I know, we haven't talked about that card very much. That card sees almost no play, but I think this is one of the very rare examples where this could be really good. Because this, you attach it, you lose 100 HP, but you give up 1 fewer prize when KO'd. It works on VMAXs like this. So essentially what you do is you have Vaporeon in the active, you hope to use Vaporeon twice to set up 2 Inteleon, and then Vaporeon goes down, but it doesn't matter. You've given up 2 prizes, but all you've got on the field is 2 Inteleon that give up 3 prizes each. So actually, your opponent KOing your Vaporeon didn't get them any closer to winning the game. They've still got to KO 2 VMAXs in order to actually win. I think this is the best use for Vaporeon here. I'm not in love with it, if I'm honest with you. I like the other Eevee VMAXs a fair bit more. But I do think there are things to love here. I think there are reasons to be a little bit excited about this, but I don't think it's phenomenal. I love that you can cheat a Pokemon out. That makes me very, very happy. But I think here you really are just going for, hey, I can cheat a Pokemon out. I don't really want to attack with this, because frankly, Inteleon does 160 to the active and 60 to one of my opponent's bench, and the vast majority of the time, I'd rather have that. And of course, if I hit 60 to the bench and then hit 160, that is 220, which is the magic number. Sorry, Vaporeon, I'm not loving it. I'm giving it 3 Wassies, which does feel a little bit low, but I'm alright with it. If I could cheat Pokemon out using a Pokemon V, we're talking about a very different story, and I love cheating Pokemon out. I love cards like this that bend the rule. They make me extremely happy, but I just don't think this is going to work as a VMAX. Although, let's be super clear, I would love to be wrong about this. And if you think I am wrong, great news. There's a comment section, so go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.